Over 100 million software businesses are coming online this year. 99% of them are going to fail. Why are there so many businesses coming online? Why? Because it's so easy to develop an app today. Lovable, Replit, Bolt, all these platforms are super simple to use. And in my experience over the last 20 years of building apps, it used to take us months to do something that you can literally do in hours. So you have a great idea and you're validating that with AI and you think that you have something. Let me show you where the breakdown is and why 99% of businesses are going to fail and exactly how you can keep your excitement level up and also have success at the same time. So this is your excitement level, drawing a little diagram, walk you through where the breakdown happens. Success is measured up here. This is time as it goes, and this is failure. So you start your project and you go to ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever, and you have an idea. And I can tell you, I have an idea every single day. And the excitement level is like, all right, now I have an idea. And now I go to ChatGPT and I write, hey, this is my idea, validate this idea for me. These AI platforms, every single one of them, they're built to make you feel good. And what they found when they created ChatGPT and all these is to reinforce you're doing great, you're on the right path. I watched the South Park episode a couple days ago where Randy is just talking to ChatGPT and it's just reinforcing terrible ideas. And it's so true that that's what's going on today. So you talk to AI, so that's the first step, and your excitement level goes up. Hey, this is $1 trillion market. You could absolutely disrupt the world with this idea. All you have to do is just start building it. So at this point, you've talked to ChatGPT, it's validated your idea, it's created some assumptions for you on who your customer is, how to go to market, how to build the app, how to do these things. So you're right here. Next step is you go into Replit, Lovable, whatever, you start building something and you're building it based upon these assumptions right here. Now, those assumptions are probably wrong. And the reason why those assumptions are wrong is because it's not taking into consideration what needs to actually be done to have that app be successful. In a couple minutes, I'll talk about exactly how to offset that, different prompts that you can use, and different strategies that you can use to validate the idea instead of just listening to ChatGPT or AI. So now your excitement level is coming up, right? And you're continuing up and time is going on. Let's say that this is days and then this is turning into months as you go and so forth and going from here. Your excitement level is at an all-time. You've created a prototype, you've generated something and you want people to start using it. Now you're like, all right, now how do I get customers? What do I do? How do I start selling this thing? You go maybe start running some ads and the performance makes your excitement level start going down. And you're going down, down, down. And maybe at this point you've ran ads and it's not working. You're not getting signups. You're down here in the trenches. You just kill the project. And this, like in terms of time and focus and energy, your excitement level going up, how do you continue the excitement level going up and then start achieving, say, revenue up here? And let's go ahead and say that that's 90 days. So the way that I approach every single project is I don't get my excitement level up. I don't allow my excitement to get up just by ChatGPT or one of these AI platforms validating the idea for me. What I do in this validation is I don't wait for the product to be live. So let's say live product. I don't wait for the product to be live and then start running ads and then just start falling off this cliff because you're spending time, you're wasting money. Like I don't allow this to happen. Now, the only thing that validates for me is that's when I set up ads. So when I have an idea, so let's go through the process. When I have an idea right here, again, every single day I have a new idea. And over the last 2 months, I've talked to 500 new founders that are trying to do this. And every single one of them gets caught up in here. Now, you could even keep pushing through And you get to the point that maybe you've spent, I talked to one guy that spent $300,000 and did not have a single customer. He spent 1 year of his life, not even 90 days, he spent 1 year and spent $300,000 and never got a single customer for the app and the time and everything. It's because all of this was given to him by AI, and that AI is just wrong. And all right, so let's talk about it. Here's what you need to do. Here's the correct process to go to 10K MRR, monthly recurring revenue, within, I like doing it in 90 days going live. So I validate, go through. I like doing it in 90 days, but let's go ahead and say 1 year. 1 year. So let me ask you a question. Would you work on this app for 1 year, 12 months, if it could get you to 10,000 a month in revenue and growing from there? Would you do that? Would you invest 1 year of your time into that? Most of you will probably say yes, I would do that. If I could do this and not sink $300,000 into a project and then have to climb back out of the trenches in order to go back up, like, we need to avoid this problem. We need to avoid this fall down, this breakdown of time and this money pit of the startup. And then you're chasing investors and you're trying to get people interested in what you're doing, and it's very difficult. So here's the process to go to 10,000 MRR in 1 year. Step one, we have an ICP. That's an ideal customer profile. We define exactly who the customer is, who's going to be paying for this app, what they're willing to pay for it, what is the problem, solution, product market fit, and demand. So we'll just break it down to demand and what they're willing to pay for that solution that you're creating. So this is the first thing you need to understand. So excitement level, you have an idea. Now you're right here in this first initial step. This is phase one. That's where you're at in your phase one and your excitement. So you define a customer. So now you're using ChatGPT to drill down to the customer. Here are some prompts that you need to use in order to define the ICP. You say, all right, ChatGPT or whatever, here is my idea. Who is my ideal customer profile, ICP, for this market? And what other products are they using? And what are the problems and solutions that they're looking for? And what would they be willing to pay for this solution? What's the secret sauce? Like, how do I win that customer? So now you're asking it specific questions to understand ICP. And this is just the beginning phase. Again, your excitement level should be, minimal, but you should be getting excited about this project. Depending on what they say, and you can force it to give you good validation or something that would be helpful to you. It's just asking, can you be critical of my idea and of the market and of the actual demand? Force it, ask those questions like product market fit, like demand, like, who is the person, define this person. I just got off a call with the team. I'm not going to tell you their idea because I value, not sharing everyone's idea with everyone, but they had a pretty good idea, but they wanted to build a marketplace. So you have two different users that you need to build. So I said, instead of building this marketplace, why don't you go out to people that already have the trust and authority and have those customers and partner with them? And then all you have to do is build one audience. So who is paying for the product? Well, those people are somewhat paying for the product, but if you have two audiences, it becomes more difficult. Why don't you go and partner with people that already have the audience, and then you're just building for this customer. Now, what are they willing to pay for that? And you can distribute through them. We'll talk about distribution in a second, but that's ICP. So you want to drill down to that. Number two is can you create that demand? So we create a wait list and we make content. So before we write a single line of code, now we're right up around here in the validation phases. So before we write a single line of code, what we're doing is we're creating a wait list. So you buy the domain, you get a website online, use Go High Level, ClickFunnels, whatever, any of those, Framer, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just put your message out there and start testing to see if people actually want it. And then what we do is we start creating content. So make social media accounts, start creating content, start posting about it, and then run a little bit of ad spend. Now from here, you can see if people are opting in, see if people are interested. Once they do opt in, you can interview them, you can ask them questions, you can ask them to fill out a type form or a Google form. Ask them questions about if you created this thing, what would they be looking for, and understand what the market demand is before you write a single line of code. Again, I'm starting to get a little bit more excited now as I start getting some of this data and some of that validation in order to, proceed forward to create that. Number 3, what we do is our distribution. We start creating our distribution list. So who are people that already have trust and authority in this space? Are they influencers? Are they potential customers? How can we build that list of people before we even build the product? Because I want to have trust and authority coming into a business before I even build the product. So I collect all of this information, and based upon that, my excitement goes up. Now, instead of going live, this is where, see, number 3 is about there. I start building right here. So number 4 is build. And the key thing is in the build is we build only what needs to be developed, which is an MVP. And I can tell you, most people's MVP is too big, it's too bloated. You're thinking, we just need more features. We have to be the one thing or the one place for everyone to be able to do everything in one place. That's where projects fail, is trying to be everything to everyone. Again, going back, I'm looking at this demand and I'm looking at what is the problem, what is the solution. And when I think about problems, I think about my core customer. Like, what's keeping them up at night? What is making them lose sleep over this? And if the answer is, again, you can validate this with AI, like, is my ICP losing sleep over this problem? And if they are, then maybe it's something that's worth building if they're willing to pay a decent amount of money for it. So let's define decent amount of money. Some of my apps, we have contracts that are in place, and we're talking about $1 million a year apps, because we'll have one install and they have multiple locations, and it goes out over multiple locations, and it's per location per month. So yeah, I try to build something that has that big of a demand and that big of an opportunity. And then I look at the distribution of who already has those customers and trust and authority, and then we sell through them. We create solutions, create win-win scenarios through them. So I'm not talking about 100K in monthly recurring revenue in that case. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars a month coming right out of the gate. So that's what I like looking for in projects, instead of, kind of spraying and praying and hoping that, you go live and hoping that you get up to this point that you start having success. Let's go ahead and say this isn't 90 days. Let's say you're 6 months in, or let's just say 180 days. So you're 180 days in and you're like, okay, now I have this product, now I have to sell it. And then you're out looking for an agency. Now you're spending money on marketing agencies. Now you're creating content. You're trying to get this thing going. Listen, people buy from people. And one of the best things that you can learn how to do is create content. So start creating it early on. And you haven't invested in building the product. And let's face it, a great product is going to cost $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 to have a great product. And then your go-to-market strategy should be $50,000, $100,000 in ad spend placed out over a certain amount of time to start ramping up and getting the traction and really accelerating on what's working. So typically on a project, yeah, I will earmark $300,000, but if I invest $300,000 into a project over an extended period of time, let's say 12 months, I want to be at 3 million. I want to be at 5 million in revenue by the time that sort of capital is deployed. Now let's talk about investors, because often people think, I'm validating this idea, I'm building it in Replit or whatever, I go live, now I want investors. Here's what investors want to see. And I guess we could put that down here as number 5 is capital. Here's what investors want. Investors want to know what is your cost of acquisition of a new customer, what is your lifetime value, and what are your COGS? What's your OPEX? Like, how is your business operating? What are your expenses now? And what does your runway look like 12 months from now? What's your previous 12 months? And so forth. So they want to know those numbers. I have those numbers at this point in time. Before the product is built, I know what my cost of acquisition of a customer is in terms of at least getting a lead and interviewing them and understanding is this something that they will pay for? So I know that before the product is even built. So often before I deploy any capital into building anything, I know what my costs are and I know what it's going to take to get there. So when we go live to that audience we already created. We try to jump up to 10,000 in monthly recurring revenue as fast as physically possible. And those are the numbers that investors want to see. So when you're talking to investors, capital, whatever, here is your narrative. Here is how you sell to investors. I validated my market. I know my cost of acquisition. It's $5 per lead. It's $30 per sale. We're charging, $150 a month or whatever the number is for the software. We get 30% of them from lead to close. They book the demo call or whatever. We do I know exactly my numbers and exactly how we ramp this up and exactly how we go forward. Now, here's my trailing 12 months. We're at, 10,000 monthly recurring revenue. And here is the forecast of where we'll be in 12 months or 24 months by deploying this capital at this point. And here's exactly what we need. We're going to raise, $500,000. We're going to raise $1 million, whatever the number is. We're going to put 30% to new features. We're going to put 30% to marketing. We're going to put 30% to growing our team and operations. We'll leave 10, 15% set aside for taxes and different accounting and things like that. If you show that to investors, you're at 10,000 MRR. It took you 90 days to build, 90 days to validate. It shows them that you're a good operator. And that's all investors want to see. Investors don't want, well, we've been at this for 5 years and we're at $1 million in revenue. Now we know how to really go. Investors are like, well, it took a year for you to get to $1 million. Is it going to take you 50 years to get to 10 million? Capital does not accelerate success. Capital just, if you're bringing on investors, all capital does is accelerates whatever is going wrong. So if you're accelerating at this rapid pace and you're 90 days in to going live, you're at 10,000 monthly recurring revenue, you can clearly show how you acquire new customers, you can clearly show how you're growing. Now you can have this capital conversation because all they care about are the numbers. That's all they care about. And you could have 100 phone calls with investors and close 5 of them if you're at 10,000 in monthly recurring revenue and growing, and you know your numbers, you did it quickly. They don't care how you coded it. I mean, you could have used ex-Google person, or you could have somebody from Meta that came onto your platform, whatever. They don't care. All they care about is speed and understanding the market and understanding exactly how you win and having somewhat of a competitive moat to say, here's how we own this. Here's how we own this space. And owning a space isn't filing a trademark or having a patent. That's not owning a space. Owning a space is you having a secret sauce that no one else can really have, or no one can develop that in like 90 days or so. So if you are talking about bringing on investors, those are the only things they really care about. And it really doesn't matter like how you pitch it at that point. All you have to do is just know your numbers and know how to communicate where you're going and where you're currently at and how you're going to get to that next level. And investors will make some sort of commitment at that point when you have that winning. But my question to you would be, why would you even want investors if you know how to grow this thing? You could take out a line of credit or something based upon the revenue that's coming in and accelerate based upon that, pay it back soon or rather quickly. And then you could grow the business and own the lion's share of it and not give up control or not give up equity and all those things that you're having to do for investors. What I really like to do is, at this point, instead of going to capital, I go back to that distribution network to say, how do we ramp up and scale through other people and really make our app something that is important for every single one of these businesses? So yeah, that's essentially how we ramp up and how we approach something. And again, 100 million softwares are going to be built in 2026. And 1% of them are going to be successful and achieve some sort of, traction, like 10,000 a month in revenue. And offsetting that is what you do in these early steps, because it's these assumptions that you're making using ChatGPT or any AI to have these assumptions, and you're building everything based upon these assumptions that are wrong. And that's where this fall off happens, and that's when you kill the project. So the best way to be successful, validate early and validate with real customers. And you can even take pre-sales. Like if you're getting to the point that the app is almost ready to go live, you could start taking pre-sales before you even go to market and have that validation. Another thing that I do is, some of these customers that really get excited about what we're doing, they could be established businesses, they could be accredited investors, they could come on board and they could be an equity partner in the venture. So this is the validation process: interviewing, bringing customers in, understanding what needs to be built before you build it, having those conversations with them. That's the only validation you need to do. So yeah, AI is killing apps. So the reason why 99% of software businesses are going to fail, it's because of AI. AI is going to kill 99% of these apps because it's making it so easy to develop them and so easy to make you feel good in this process, but you're not getting real customers and you're not actually building an app that is ever going to be successful because it's all built based upon bad foundations. The good foundations are customers, the right customer, what they're willing to pay for it, creating a waitlist, content, and ads. Because people buy from people, they don't buy features, they buy people, they buy trust, they buy authority. That's what you need to focus on, building that distribution network, then building a super lean MVP, and then capital becomes easy. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, you can always message below, drop me a message, and I'm more than happy to help you and walk you through this process and help you with your steps. We'll also do strategy calls and so forth and help you guys out. So let me know if that helps. Hit a like, hit a follow, and definitely take this, execute on creating the demand before you create the product. Get to work.